Hey guys, I'm Marmaduke fan here with another rapid fire $1 comic reviews. Before I forget, I want to kind of not bury the lead in this video. So we did it, gang. Marvel is finally printing color comics with halftone dot colors preserved. So if you don't know what this is, in old school comics, the print process, they had a limited number of colors, so they would combine these colors together to get different colors using halftone dot patterns. So one of the most famous and obvious ones is to get peach skin. You'd kind of get you'd put down yellow color, and then you'd put red dots over that at a halftone dot pattern, creating kind of like this lightish orange look. To get light blue, well, you just take your regular blue color and you do the dot pattern. It doesn't show up that easily. And this has always been like a big, charming, famous part of old comic books. Artists, painters like Roy Lichtenstein, he used to blow up giant comic book panels and turn them into giant paintings to highlight the halftone dot pattern. And it gives old comics a softer look. So what a lot of the new reprints do is they just sort of eyedrop tool it, and then they just paint bucket fill it light blue. So instead of dark blue dots in a halftone pattern, it's just all solid light blue, and that makes everything much brighter and much intenser than it is in kind of the softer format. There are also a lot more errors in those old things. You might find one comic book that had one error and another comic book that had a different error. So what that probably means is whatever comic book they got, they scanned it high resolution, and any little mess ups in the printing process from that are preserved, but it gives the whole thing overall a nicer feel. So Chris Claremont was the writer. Herb Trimpe and Fred Kita were the artists. I've never heard of them before, but it was quite good. And the colorist work was G. Rossos, and it actually kind of represents what he wanted, so I like it. This Captain Britain story, it's a collection of 3 Captain Britain stories. I'd never read Captain Britain. I think he was more of you had to be in Britain to read Captain Britain going up, but they're focusing on Betsy Braddock for some reason. I never quite know what the logic is, and it's 3 little stories that collectively tell one story from 3 different issues. Okay, that's pretty cool. It had a nice what did I like about it? I kind of liked I know it was kind of neat that there was a group of siblings and he had to reveal his secret identity. I like how very British they are in, you can tell it's like an American trying to imitate the British way of speaking from Jane Austen plays and things like that, but I kind of dig it. There's some really great over the top Marvel action shots, and evil, what was his name? They have some kind of evil Dr. Sin, and they explain that he's actually based on Russell Thorndike's Scarecrow of Romney Marsh, but that guy was a hero, and this villain is perverting the legacy of British literature. Okay, that's some great stuff. So the most interesting thing about this was actually the coloring decision. The next interesting Marvel book was the Uncanny XMen, The Days of Future Past, which was originally X-Men 141, one of the most iconic X-Men stories of all time. A great concept for the cover. I even like the little detail of Byrne and I think it's Austin. Yeah, Terry Austin hiding their name in the universe in the poster. That's really cool. Byrne, I think that Byrne's one of the all-time greats. Something I just read a Buscema book earlier this week, and so something that kind of stuck out to me is I think Buscema has a maybe a little bit more, I don't know, grace to his style, and Byrne, sometimes you'll have a face bug out at you or something, but I think that Byrne has a really great eye for detail. So one thing that stood out to me is there was a poster that said 1985. I thought, oh, that's a really great detail, because what that implies is that the Sentinels take over in 1984, everything goes to hell in less than a year, and everything is kind of frozen in 1985. I even like little things he does with his figures and expressions. So he is one of the all-time great. I wonder how young he was when he did this. Maybe the awkward faces I saw were more of a consequence of him being younger at the time. But did a lot of work for the Incredible Hulk. Obviously did run on X-Men. Just a fabulous artist. And The other thing that stood out to me about this was how subtle they were about the political message of the mutants. So Senator Kelly was supposed to be a senator who was harping on the mutants and wanted something to be done about the mutants, right? So he's sort of coded as the Joe McCarthy, worried about the communists, worried about the mutants guy. And the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants decided to assassinate him to teach him a lesson. And it was the assassination of Kelly that prompted anti-mutant sentiment and a descent into chaos, right? So the evil Antifa mutants, come on, guys, this isn't that hard. The evil Antifa mutants who think that killing is justified make everything worse for the good mutants who want to preserve life. There's even a really neat segment where Kitty Pryde identifies with Senator Kelly. You say Kelly's death initiates a sequence of events, Kitty? What events? Kelly is a decent man with what he feels are legitimate concerns about the increasing numbers of superpowered mutants in the world. Kelly's objection makes sense. Mutants are people who can basically blast holes in the wall with their mind, and some of the kids might not even be able to control their powers, right? So we want something done about the mutant problem. But then the problem is that can devolve into like a hate mob going after the mutants and rounding them down and rounding them up, right? So what this is saying is you don't solve the problem of a Senator Kelly by killing him. You don't even solve the problem of a Senator Kelly by impugning his motive. You look at the problem that is bugging Senator Kelly, and you try to find a compromise. The American political system relies on compromise, right? And recognizing the decency or the possible moral intent of your opponent is necessary if you're going to say anything to your opponent. Unless your opponent is literally Hitler, compromise is good. All right. So great old book. DC books. These are both by Chuck Dixon. For some reason, I didn't plan that. That's just how it turned out. Robin #1. This is the kind of origin story. It's not the first appearance of Tim Drake, but it's the first time Tim Drake puts on the Robin costume and is starting to work as Robin. And I read the trade paperback of this growing up. I feel like this should be read in the trade paperback format because it leaves off on a cliffhanger. And the meta thing I noticed in both of these books is Chuck Dixon is really, really good at using internal monologue to add to the story rather than detract from the story. So something Tim Drake is going through is, does he have what it takes to be Robin? He's got the big brains, but he's not street smart, in contrast to Jason Todd, in contrast to Dick Grayson. Can he man up and be a tough guy Robin who can back up Batman in the streets? And there's a cool subplot about like the world's toughest karate experts are getting their asses kicked by King Snake. That's what it was. I remember he's got like this giant blonde mullet, but you don't see him in this issue. And while they're setting up that, Alfred has a really nice conversation about doing what you need to do and having self-confidence in yourself, kind of like from a British perspective. Adversity can build character. Spoken like a true Englishman. Touché, sir. It's great. It's what Dixon was doing was, I think he realized that these are fun characters, but these are characters you can tell a serious story with. So he found that perfect balance where, they are colorful, they go on adventures, but they sort of deal with their problems in a human and identifiable way. Like, can I do this? Am I up to the job? I've got to bust my butt and work hard if I'm going to do a good job. That kind of stuff he had a really good feel for. And Tim Drake's thoughts, basically, it adds something rather than, it's not just like Tim Drake thinking, oh, I want bacon this morning with my jam. No. He's actually thinking about his problem, and he's thinking creatively like, oh, well, this old guy will teach me kung fu, but if I really want to get good, I got to go out and practice my stealth skills as Robin. That kind of cool stuff. Ends with him getting his butt kicked a lot and getting some of that street smarts, and so he mans up and goes out as Robin to take care of the problem and starts winding himself deeper and deeper into this mysterious old school kung fu world. The Birds of Prey book. Oh, I want to get the artist. I always like highlighting the artist if I can. There we go. Chuck Dixon was the writer. Tom Lyle was the penciler. Bob Smith was the inker. Very professional, very clean work. Hopping into Birds of Prey. This is a 2000s era book, so it's got something like the airbrushing to it. Greg Land's the penciler. Okay. And Drew Geraci is the inker. has really good line width, like thick lines up there, thin lines back there. That's great. And Gloria Vasquez is the colorist. All right, so this is just like a fun. We gotta like investigate the weird crime mafia guy story. It's with Barbara Gordon when she was crippled and she was working as Oracle. And Chuck Dixon did a couple really neat things in this one. So number one is he had like oh look, new technology. Oh look, we have email now, but he made it not cringy. So I started thinking, okay, what's the difference between this and like a cell phone selfie subplot in a modern Marvel comic? And what I think the difference is when you're doing like let's take a hashtag selfie, guys, joke. That's like instant. That was cringy 1 week after people started using the phrase cringy. First, it was cringy because the teenagers were saying hashtag selfie, and then the boomers started saying hashtag selfie, and then the teenagers finally started cringy, right? So if the whole point of it is that it's cringy, I get maybe that's like a funny thing if you are presenting it in the context of, yeah, this was cringy at the time, we knew it was cringy, but it's still an uncomfortable joke, right? Like email was a weird thing. Like there was a life before email and a life after email. So Black Canary's having this thing where she doesn't like the computers and she's not sure she wants the computer in her house, right? But rather than have this be like a meta thing, it's almost like this. Dixon's actually pretty brilliant at this. So part of the whole point of Oracle's character is that she's computer literate, and a lot of superheroes aren't computer literate. Ergo, Black Canary getting a computer helps illustrate what she doesn't know about, but Barbara Gordon does know about. Barbara Gordon's good with the computers. She's got elite hacksaw skills. And then Canary does this cute little thing where she finds out, oh, Barbara can see me. She's got video on there. So she immediately puts like a towel over the computer. That's good. That's funny stuff. And then she takes the towel off and says boo and scares Barbara. These cutesy little human stuff. The joke isn't, oh, we got technology. We got it's the 2000s, guys, email. The joke is that technology comes into our lives. We've got to learn how to deal with it. And they use it in kind of a cute way to interact with each other like friends. That's kind of neat. Black Canary looks stunning, and they have a nice little Chuck Dixon Wings Over, what is that? Wings Over Gotham? Yeah, Wings Over Gotham book. So that's probably like Greg Land, the artist, just doing a little nod for Dixon. And then just some cool subterfuge of breaking and entering. And the Pentagon's trying to figure out who's hacking into their systems. And Dixon's just so good at this. What he's specifically good at is having the observations and the character inner monologue actually relate to what's going on in their lives and add some personality and like, oh, this is interesting. I want to actually highlight this little bit. So like the Pentagon guy says they're going to go investigate who's hacking into their thing. And then he says, it's better than sitting at a desk. Boom, cuts away to Black Canary being a badass femme fatale and sneaking into the drug ring. It ends on a cliffhanger, so I guess you got to get the trade paperback to get the full story. But Dixon knows how to use narration to flesh out the characters and make things more fun without like a cringy, oh my gosh, I got email at email.com to gmail.com on Garfield, the Garfield website. I got a Gmail account on the Garfield website. That's what Gmail is. Good grief. All right, 4 good comics. I enjoy them all. They're going to the Little Free Library. Number one Marmaduke fan. I love you guys. Chuck Dixon is such a Chad. All right, catch you later.